Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Manish Shrestha, working as Assistant Professor at Haryana School of Business, GJ University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic performance planning. Before starting the discussion, let's have a look at its contents. The discussion will start with introduction of the topic, followed by objectives of performance planning, developing performance plan, key concepts involved in the performance planning, and the end will summarize. The learning objectives for performance planning are to understand the relevance of planning for improvement in performance and to get familiar with the stages of performance planning. In every organization, the management carries appraisal of performance as a routine matter. This activity is generally performed to provide financial increments to the employees, and these increments are based on their performance during the assessment period. Actually, the effectiveness of this routine activity could be increased manifold if the proper planning is done. This planning is done to increase the performance of the employees, and it is termed as performance planning. A proper performance planning improves the outcome of performance appraisals for the organization as well as employees. Performance planning generally starts with defining goals of the organization and then narrows it down to group and individual level. Once the goals of everyone are in place, then performance planning lay down a framework to channelize all efforts to achieve these goals. Clarity about individual performance goals help an individual to contribute towards achievement of organizational goals. As it is a planning activity, it must be carried out at the beginning of the performance assessment period. Performance planning comprises all the activities that explain what vital tasks an employee has to do and how an employee performs them. It also discusses about the performance standards and skills of employees. Effective performance planning ensures that the outcome of employees' efforts must be of quality, maintain consistency, meets the time-related deadlines. Performance planning is primarily a discussion stage where manager and employees come together to reach an agreement over the jobs and responsibilities of an employee. It facilitates understanding about the targets, individual responsibility to achieve those targets, key performance areas, key skills required to perform, and ways of assessing the performance. Let's consider few popular meanings and definitions of performance planning. Performance planning is a systematic and structured approach to successfully achieve the desired goals of an individual or team throughout the assessment year. A plan is chalked out for the team or an individual, keeping in mind the broader objectives of the organization. Performance planning defines expectations, the results to be achieved, and the skills, knowledge, expertise, and capabilities required to attain these results. Performance planning is a subpart of performance management, and it describes a path to achieve a specified level of performance. It mainly includes the setting of goals and targets that will act as standard for judgment for identifying improvement in performance during a defined period. Performance planning provides a well thought out approach to get the desired level of performance for individuals as well as groups. Overall, performance planning is considered as a part of systematic approach for improvement of individual as well as organizational performance. With the discussion so far, it can be construed that performance planning aligns the job expectations with the organizational goals, establishes a performance criteria, clarifies the standard for evaluation, lay down the feedback mechanism, and plans for the smooth flow of communication to ensure overall development. As clarity about the goals is provided to the employees under performance planning, they feel more focused and motivated to achieve the set level of performance. Performance planning provides a sense of purpose to the employees of the organization. The intermittent and annual assessment of efforts of the employees enables them to improve their performance on a regular basis. Objectives of performance planning. Performance planning is an important component of performance management system. As it is the first step for effective performance management system, its relevance increases manifold. A performance planning approach aims to fulfill certain objectives like communication, performance improvement, and individual development. Communication is one of the primary objectives of performance planning. It emphasizes on the smooth flow of communication between the managers and employees. The smooth communications helps in exchange of vital information on a regular basis. The information could be instructions related to tasks to be performed for improved performance. Communication is also related to clarification about job responsibilities and performance standards. It is also essential for better understanding between managers and employees. Communication plays a major role at the time of feedback of performance. All these reasons make improvement in communication as one of the major thrust area of performance planning. Performance improvement. Performance planning strives to improve performance through setting challenging performance targets to achieve organizational goals. It encourages both individual and team to think, feel and breathe about continuous improvement in performance and productivity. Performance planning attempts to identify bottlenecks that hamper the individual and team performances and tries to remove such hurdles. Another objective of performance management is to properly acknowledge the importance of individual in the success of our organization. So, the performance planning focuses on providing opportunities towards individual growth and career development. Recognizing individual performance is a clear indication towards development objective of performance management. For employee development, performance management keeps an eye on increasing their competencies and knowledge to create a win-win situation. The presence of career development plan keeps an employee motivated, and a self-motivated manpower is an asset to any organization. Apart from these broad objectives of performance planning, a few level-wise objectives are worth mentioning. These objectives are for organizations, managers and individuals. The objectives of performance planning for organizations are to clearly define purpose of organization and its expectations, to offer adequate resources for enabling desired performances, to check timely feedback, to describe jobs are in line with the organizational objectives, to acknowledge contribution of individuals in the overall success of the organization, to keep up the motivational level of employees. For managers, the objective of performance planning are to provide a real-time feedback mechanism, to provide support to employees in the form of coaching or training, to provide chance to set goals jointly with the employees, to create a performance measurement framework. Objectives of performance planning for individuals are to provide opportunity for involvement while setting performance goals, to offer competency improvement opportunity to improve performance, to change mindset from hostile manager to supportive manager, and to create a receptive feedback mechanism. Developing performance plan. The basic premise of performance planning is the discussion between the manager and the employee. These two parties share the responsibilities to bring out important issues affecting performance, charting out the way to achieve the goals, and come to an agreement for the implementation of a plan. In performance planning, sometimes there is a disagreement over sequence of planning, that is, whether to go for individual performance plan followed by group and organizational plan or vice versa. It is relatively easier to plan for individuals as they are more aware of the circumstances under which they have to perform. There is a lesser element of uncertainty at the individual level as compared to organizational level. Organizational performance is dependent on individual performances, group performances, and the presence of external uncontrollable factors. Sometimes application of individual performance plan is difficult to connect with the organizational performance due to difference in their context. Organizational plans can best be converted into goals while individual plans can be converted into specific actions expected. Despite a few disagreements, individual performance planning is more prevalent. The few steps for development of performance plan at individual level are: to review organizational goals in order to connect expected results in terms of magnitude, worth, expenditure, or timeliness of performance. Creation of organizational goals is part of strategic level planning. These need to be converted into results and it changes from job to job. The results could be easily observable in the form of manufacturing a product or providing a service or any other form depending upon the nature of activity. For example, increase in market share or improvement of image among stakeholders. So we can say that the result is consequential to performance. Similarly, performance expectations are decided by goals which act as a catalyst for results. Goals need to be set as per SMART principle. An effective goal is always specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and time bound. For example, at organizational level, goal of organization could be to connect the image of organization to quality in next 3 years. Once broader goal is established, it is required to set up sub goals for all components of organization. This means performance expectations would be set for research and development, manufacturing, logistics, marketing, sales, and communication departments. Every individual working in these departments has to think about improvement in quality at their level of performance and communicate the same. This improvement could be in terms of hiring better talent, product innovation, changed advertisements, and uniform, etc. Next step is to specify desired results. The results are dependent on the context of activities performed. As in the above example, the quality improvement means better customer service to one performance domain while it is reusable product for the other. This step focuses on the alignment of performance results with the organizational results. Through this, we would be able to check whether the performance results are actually contributing towards achievement of organizational goals. To check the proper alignment, it is important to inquire the awareness level of employees towards their contribution in overall organizational results, understanding about organizational goals, knowledge about way of achieving the organizational goals, and how their contributions would be measured. Once both the goals are aligned, it's time for priority setting. For all performance actions and goals, priority is set both subjectively and objectively. A weight is assigned to each goal, sub-goal and performance activity. It provides a clear picture to all parties involved about what is most important and requires immediate attention. It also conveys the message about the areas of performance which cannot be compromised. Assigning weights to tasks help the employees on allocating time to a particular activity. Next step involves identification of performance measures. All the performance could be measured in terms of quantity, quality, timeliness, cost, newness. For a salesperson, performance could be measured in terms of number of products sold in a week. For a supervisor at shop floor, performance could be measured in terms of reduction in number of breakdowns and eventual loss of man hours. Identifying an accurate performance measure for a job is Herculean task. It demands a clear-cut understanding of the job and all performance aspects related to it. Then there is a need to identify which performance aspect is related to goals of organization and in what magnitude. Some performance domains like research and development requires extra attention while identifying performance measures. Identification of performance standards is the next step of performance planning. Performance standards acts as benchmarks against which actual performance is measured. These standards provide a basis to accurately identify whether the results meet expectations or not. Anything achieved beyond standard is considered as excellent performance. Performance at par with the standards is considered as satisfactory, and any performance marked below par means it does not meet expectation. The last stage of development of performance plan puts stress on documentation of the plan. These documented plan specifically state about expected results, way of measurement and performance standards. Performance plan in document form acts as a ready reference to both employees and managers. It helps them in keeping their efforts on track in terms of performance and its evaluation. Once performance plan is complete, it is important to revisit the plan in terms of checking the following critical areas. Ensure that the critical elements quoted in the plan are actually critical and any compromise on it can adversely affect the overall performance. Make sure to provide the permissible limit for acceptable performances. It is important to relook at the benchmarks set. Make sure benchmarks must fall in the zone of attainability. Recheck that standard set must be challenging enough to push the employees to attain them. Also ensure that similar jobs must be compared with similar standards. Check the feasibility of standards in terms of getting output information. Always leave a room for changes to accommodate unforeseen circumstances. Remove any kind of vagueness in performance standards to avoid misunderstanding by employees at the time of interpretation. After having a broad understanding of performance planning steps, a snapshot about how performance planning and review is practiced at an academic institution is shown. It is depicting performance planning and review phases with key responsibilities on the x-axis while various phases on the y-axis, mentioning the duration also. During first month, planning and goal setting activity is being done, and planning includes review the principal responsibilities of the job, discuss standards of performance, identify university priorities and department objectives, decide upon projects within the scope of the position and assign specific goals and objectives, identify the knowledge, skills, and abilities that need to be developed to achieve these goals and objectives. For goal setting, the activities are define performance expectations that align with the team and university objectives, define developmental objectives, create SMART goals that will help to achieve team objectives and address professional development. Between the duration 2nd to 11th month, coaching and feedback and monitoring activities are being performed. Monitoring includes meet regularly to review progress on performance goals to date and discuss success and roadblocks, redefine expectations and update the goals if performance expectations change throughout the year. Coaching and feedback includes provide ongoing feedback on the staff members' performance, establish open ongoing communication channels, proactively solicit feedback to ensure that performance is in line with expectations, provide objective information and examples of performance to identify areas of strength and areas for improvement throughout the year. The final month includes review, stating provide comments related to the documented performance expectation and goals, provide feedback related to the staff members' performance expectations and objectives, support each assessment with specific results and objective examples of performance throughout the year. Meet to discuss the staff members' performance, identifying key areas of strength and accomplishment and areas for improvement. And during the last month period, recognition and reward activity includes recognize and reward performance frequently throughout the year. This can include simple verbal recognition and other forms of non-monetary acknowledgement of good work. There are few key concepts involved in performance planning. At this stage, it is pertinent to discuss certain concepts whose understanding is crucial for preparing an effective performance plan. Setting SMART objectives. Clearly defined objectives are vital for performance planning effectiveness. To get a cue about writing SMART objectives, it is advisable to answer few questions such as what we have to do in terms of visible actions taken, to what extent we have to do it in terms of setting boundaries for the identified actions, and for what results we are doing it in terms of achievement and impact of end results. SMART is an acronym stating specific that tells how end result would appear, measurable, quantification of outcomes, achievable, must appear attainable and challenging to keep the employees motivated, relevant, must appear worth trying, time bound, defines the boundary of attainment with respect to time. Second concept is competency mapping. Human capital is the most important resource for any organization. Competency is used as a vital element to judge about the human performance. It is the skill and ability of an individual that equips him to perform better in a specific area. Competency mapping is a process of identifying key proficiencies of an individual for a given position and using them for different purposes ranging from recruitment and selection, identification of training needs, and performance management. Competency mapping can be done by using past performance, job focus, or value-based approaches. Few of the competencies could be adaptability to change, team orientation, good networking, and influencing skills. Another concept is key performance area. It deals in identification of targets, related to specific activities which are challenging and require extra effort on the part of an employee. It includes identification of key tasks to be performed by various internal stakeholders, identify the priority, getting approval of employees, and allocating required resources. And the final concept is key result area. It is general areas of output for which a role is responsible. It covers areas like innovation and employee development. It also enables objective setting and assessment of existing performance. Key result area guides individuals towards clarity of their role and make them focus on results rather than activities. To summarize the discussion, a proper performance planning improves the outcome of performance appraisals for organization as well as employees. Performance planning generally starts with defining goals of the organization and then narrows it down to group and individual level. Once the goals for everyone are in place, then performance planning lay down a framework to channelize all efforts to achieve these goals. Clarity about individual performance goals help an individual to contribute towards achievement of organizational goals. Performance planning comprises all the activities that explain what vital task an employee has to do and how an employee performs them. Performance planning is primarily a discussion stage where manager and employees come together to reach an agreement over the jobs and responsibilities of an employee. It facilitates common understanding about the targets, individual responsibility to achieve those targets, key performance areas, key skills required to perform, and ways of assessing the performance. Primary objective of performance planning are to enhance communication in all aspects, to improve performance through setting challenging performance targets to achieve organizational goals, and to properly acknowledge the importance of individuals in the success of the organization. Various steps for development of performance plan at individual level are to review organizational goals in order to connect expected results, to specify desired results, alignment of performance results with the organizational results, priority setting, identification of performance standards, and documentation of the plan. Performance plan review includes 6 phases, namely planning, goal setting, monitoring, coaching, review, and recognition of rewards. Happy learning.